Invocation to the Lord. Dear Lord, allow my spirit to rise to your heights, to drink from the true fountains of wisdom, and absorb your powerful vibrations of love and faith, of purification and spiritual and material strength, of spiritual power, peace, understanding, health, prosperity, and harmony to pour over my brothers and sisters.
Lesson 30. Life. How it evolves. Action of the hierarchy. In the divine mind, creation begins. The divine mind is creative. It creates life in the infinite planes. When speaking of life, do not imagine human beings, but rather the vibration that will later have consciousness, the vibration capable of forming, the vibration capable of achievements. This is the life that constantly emanates from the divine mind and reaches the infinite plane, filled with vital energies, continuously emanated by God, which constitute the nourishment of life. Through this nourishment, the vibration gradually acquires the ability to develop and evolve. The divine laws, which govern everything, gather these future beings together, and the group, also in accordance with the laws and through spiritual hierarchy, is guided by minds of higher evolution. These newborn beings, divine sparks, future beings, nourish themselves with the divine vital energy necessary for their own spiritual essence by absorbing it from the infinite plane filled with divine vital energy. They gradually acquire the ability for voluntary action and future consciousness through the vibrations, protection, and guidance of higher minds. Thus begins, for these sparks, a joint evolution and joint work. Beings of higher hierarchy guide these future beings towards the accomplishment of certain deeds, to manifestation and to action in certain planes. But all of this takes place unconsciously. This process occurs in the infinite and eternal realm of time, and therefore it has no measure, but you could estimate it in millions of your years. Through these experiences, the future being becomes aware of its own individual existence and reaches a point of evolution that we will call the spiritual breath. Then, in its journeys to different physical worlds, it begins to clothe itself in the appropriate form for its new experiences. In order to assume this form, the hierarchical mind brings substances closer to the spiritual breath. Thus, as it comes in contact with different planes in a physical world, the substances that should compose its form gradually clothe it, and on the plane of visible matter, it takes on a physical body. Over time, the spiritual breath follows its evolutionary path on the zoological scale until it reaches the point of its evolution where it gains semi-consciousness. At the end of each point in the physical plane, the spiritual breath returns to what could be called its ethereal dwelling, from where future beings, at the same stage of evolution, constantly embark on these journeys to physical worlds. Within these large groups or dwellings, there are small groups which we could call of the same species. As the transmission of experience acquired in the same animal species occurs from one to another, it is consolidated in the spiritual breaths, comprising those small groups and assimilated by them, thus forming the instinct of the species. When the evolution of the spiritual breath allows it, meaning when it has undergone all the necessary experiences to reach the evolutionary point of consciousness, that unconscious spiritual breath or unconscious ego gains awareness of its will for the accomplishment of deeds and for the choice of means. This is the moment when the definitive consciousness is born and defined. the moment when the spiritual breath transforms into a conscious spirit. It then begins its existence as a human in less evolved worlds, like Earth has been in the past. Earth is still a delayed planet, but there are other even more delayed planets. In these inferior planets, the initial human incarnations are dark for the new spirit, and animal instincts are still very intense. However, the spirit also becomes responsible for its own life, and at this moment, negative forces begin to interfere, attempting to delay the evolutionary process of the being who, now having consciousness, can discern between good and evil. The beings responsible for their guidance constantly help through intuition. If you analyze it, you can verify that in animals, intuition is very strong. This is because during their animal incarnations, the future being is in constant contact with the higher planes and thus can often perceive things you cannot. They also retain a kind of memory that allows them to instinctively understand their needs for the preservation of the species and their physical life. In its early human incarnations, the incarnated spirit is also in constant contact with higher planes, through beings in descending hierarchy. These beings guide the spirit in their new human way of life, helping them through intuition and instinct, which the spirit retains to solve their problems of existence and survival. When the spirit incarnated as a human has gained some experience, they begin their first deviations towards evil. Responding to negative influence, humans begin to find sources of pleasure within themselves where they should only find life necessities. This distortion of life necessities goes against the laws, and the being starts to deviate towards paths of pleasure shown to them by evil, where positive forces cannot accompany them, thus delaying the spiritual evolution of the individual. Nevertheless, the law of evolution and progress is constant, and no matter how strong the interference of evil is, divine laws, which are an expression of the love of God, assist humankind, meaning incarnated spirits. Assistance comes through beings of greater evolution, who incarnate as humans to guide humankind, influencing minds and souls through their words and actions, showing the path humankind must inevitably follow. Therefore, more evolved beings and highly evolved beings have incarnated and still incarnate in delayed worlds, thus forming a scale that includes humans at various points of spiritual evolution, which sets the existing difference in the mental capacity within the same humankind. When the spirit has reached a certain degree of evolution, the matter that contains it must also have an appropriate evolution. It must be more evolved. Consequently, the physical body of humans has been changing, especially in its invisible, inner aspects, as the physical body must adapt to the spirit it contains and provide the means for its full expression in the physical plane. This is why, on different planets where there are humankinds and nature, the forms are different as each planet has a different degree of evolution. It is not only the incarnated spirits that are at different points of evolution, but also the matter that contains them, and the entire nature of the planet adapted to the spiritual and physical needs of that humankind. Your planet is at the end of its era of matter, and must begin the era of spirit. This has profound significance. Planet Earth must ascend from its plane and physical state. It must gradually become a spiritualized planet. This means that the humankind that will live on Earth will have a higher spiritual evolution, and consequently, the physical bodies will gradually transform to adapt to the need for expression of more evolved spirits. As matter transforms by becoming more subtle, the needs of the physical body will be different, just as divine wisdom and love, through their laws,
provide each humankind with the means for their subsistence in the world where they are meant to live, nature and their world must also change at the same pace. It must provide the food and elements necessary for the life and development of its inhabitants. Not all worlds have undergone the transformation as it must occur on yours, that is, rapidly and within a short span. On many planets, evil has not achieved the great victories it has on yours, and therefore evolution has been progressive, occurring almost imperceptibly. On Earth, however, it must occur through physical, geological, social, and religious upheavals, because the impact of the immense forces needed to transform it in a brief time will provoke intense reactions both in the physical and in spiritual aspects of humankind and in nature. Everything is governed by laws, and according to these laws, your planet must transform and begin its spiritualization or face destruction. The forces of evil were well aware of the choices humankind would face at this moment on Earth. For this reason, their efforts have multiplied in recent centuries to prevent humans from reacting positively. They have sought to intensify ambition, hatred, and all the defects and vices that you struggle with, which can lead you to destruction. Only love can save you. Unite through love. Wrap your planet in love. Create a vibration of love on Earth that can withstand all attacks from negative forces, and simultaneously act as a powerful magnet to attract increasingly intense and powerful forces from above. It corresponds to you, the humans of this era, the task to initiate the transmutation of the material into the spiritual. You are sowing the marvelous seed of spiritualization on this planet. Your world will begin to become more subtle, not only in relation to humans, but also in nature. The divine force will be with you through the hierarchy, and it will bring about the events that will enable your planet to start becoming subtle for its transformation into a spiritualized planet. This colossal work, expressed to you in a few sentences, requires countless events and details for its achievement, which you cannot yet comprehend. Your faith is necessary to accomplish these achievements and to develop your activity in the missionary work without doubts. Everyone must be capable of revealing the truth of the work of Christ to any person or group, whether spiritual, scientific, or profane. Everyone must thoroughly understand the truth of the work of Christ, its preparation, its purpose, and its action in your world. You will receive this knowledge as you progress in the study of the teachings.